You can't build a peaceful world on empty stomach and human misery. These were the words of Dr. Norman Borlaug, an American agronomist behind the Green Revolution. Today, I recalled his words as we have with us Dr. Samrendu Mohanty, who is putting all his efforts to fill the empty stomachs and support for small farmers through various skills and schemes. Hello, everyone. Let's welcome Dr. Mohanty, an Asian Regional Director at International Potato Center, to our very own show, Science Talk Show, presented by Times of Biotech. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning. Pleasure to be here.
So it's our honor to have you on the show. So, as I know, you had a long journey, an inspiring journey from a state of India to USA, and then became Asian Regional Director. So, how is your journey?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much having me in your show. I think it's a pleasure to be here, and good morning to everybody who is listening or who will be listening. Well, originally I am from Odisha, from Bhubaneswar, eastern state, Indian state of Odisha. Then I, after my undergraduate in Bangalore, I went to US and stayed there for nearly 20 years, both as a student, then as an academician in universities, two different universities, then returned back to Asia again after 20 years. So I have been in Asia for last 13 years, working in different parts of Asia, including India. I was based in Philippines for a while, working for the International Rice Research Institute. Then I moved to International Potato Center, and there are 15 international agricultural research centers in the world, and these called CGIR, Consultative Group of International Agricultural Research, and these two are part of this CGIR group of organizations there. So, you know, my journeys, initially I was not interested in agriculture, but eventually I became. Then I started enjoying it. Now I really enjoy what I'm doing because I make difference in people's life, people in the rural India, rural Asia there.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your journey. Of course, you are making difference to the life of the farmers. Sir, moving ahead, I would like to ask about the International Potato Center, because there are very few people who know about it, or like very little they know about this CIP. So can you please tell us more about the CIP and your experience working as a director?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. International Potato Center, as I said, is one of the 15 organizations around the world who has focused on different crops. Like we have one of our sister organizations called ICRISAT in Hyderabad. This is also part of the same organization. So CIP is based in Lima, Peru. Lima, Peru is the origin of potato and many root crops. That's the reason our headquarters is in Lima, Peru. And our primary mandate is to support smallholder agriculture there. And we have scientists all over the world who are doing research on developing new varieties, new climate resilient varieties, in using more new biotechnology tools like CRISPR, marker-assisted breedings. Then also our scientists work on developing more sustainable production practices, how to save water, how to make sure farmers use less fertilizer. We also work all along the value chains, linking the farmers to the markets. So our job is to develop technology, disseminate technologies, and link farmers to the market and make sure the livelihood of the small farmers are improved. That is our primary mandate of the institute.
That's really nice, sir. As I know that one of the techniques which you are disseminating to the farmer is the apical root cutting and the seed production through apical root cutting. And this is also a cheap potato seed production technique. So how is it different from conventional seed production, and what are the parameters which makes it cheaper than conventional seed production method?
Okay, so as you know, potato is the third most important food crop in India and many parts of Asia also. After rice and wheat, potato is a staple for the many parts of the world. At the same time, it is a vegetable, it's a cash crop, it has got significant importance for the Indian agriculture, if you look at the farmer perspective there. And if you look at how a potato is produced, normally the potato seed, the seed tuber, the farmers plant it. That is nearly half of the cost of production. So the seed cost is 50% and the rest of the cost of production is 50%. And India particularly, the seed replacement in potato is very low because the cost of seed is so high. So our small and marginal farmers, they cannot afford to purchase seed in potato. So now normally it is produced in a very high-tech technology called aeroponics. I think we'll talk next. And it is distributed to all over India. So the cost of the production is very high. The prices are very high. And this particular apical rooted cutting is a very low cost technology. When I was based in Vietnam, I saw this technology in Vietnam. In high plains of Vietnam, small farmers use this technology to produce quality seed, and the cost of the seed is very low. So I introduced this in India, first in Karnataka and Haryana. Now it has spread to many parts of India. So if it's a very simple technology, it start with tissue culture materials, which is pure virus-free material. So you start with the tissue culture plantlet. You bring those tissue culture plantlet to polyhouse in a soil-less media. Those becomes a mother bed. Then you can see the picture here. This is in Hassan, Bangalore, in one of our facilities. You can see on the mother bed. You can see both the side. You can see the mother bed. These are all from the tissue culture plantlet. You bring the mother bed. You establish the mother, then you do the cutting every 10 to 15 days, the apical cutting there. Then you replant it for rooting there. Then those cuttings, if you go to the next slides, maybe you can see. Yes, here you can see the mother bed in Haryana, in Karnataka, in Haryana Center, Potato Technology Center in Haryana there. So these cuttings can be planted in temporary net houses or an open field. You can see here. This is a farmer in Assam who has taken these cuttings from us and planted in a net house. And many farmers also you see on the farmers on the left, he has planted it on the open field. So once you plant these cuttings, they become your generation zero seed. So this is a very alternative to very high-tech technology we have called aeroponics. So this is the production from one of the cuttings in Morigaon, Assam. So in one cutting, you can get 10, 15, 20, even 30, 40 tubers there. These are called very first generation tubers. Then you can multiply these tubers again, 1 or 2 rounds and sell it to the farmers. So this is a very low cost technology in terms of you need a tissue culture lab. There are a lot of tissue culture labs in the country who are doing banana, pineapple tissue culture cutting there. So they have now started producing this tissue culture plantlet and selling it to the nurseries in different parts to develop mother bed and cutting there. Then these cuttings can be sold to the farmers. Farmers can plant it and they can become self-sufficient in the seed. They don't have to depend on the market to buy the expensive seed, which is now sold in the country there. So we hope this technology, as it spreads, the farmer organizations, farmers producer organizations, and many progressive farmers can take up the seed production. So our goal is to decentralize the seed production. Instead of seed produced only in Punjab, we would like every state to produce seed and the farmers produce seed and become self-sufficient in seed. As I said, the seed accounts for 50% of the cost of production. If we can reduce the cost by 25-30%, that becomes very cheap. Then farmers can take up the potato production much more larger scale, which can be very profitable. We have seen in many states, they use quality seed and good production practices, per hectare profit can be more than 1 to 2 lakhs rupees if the prices are good.
Thank you, sir. Another technique which is being used, as you said, the aeroponics. So we would also like to know about that technique as well, like how it is being used.
Yes, so the aeroponics is the technology which is now predominantly used in India by large companies like, there are a few large companies, Mahindra, ITC, they produce seed using this technology. It's a very good technology. The problem is that the setting up aeroponic facility is very expensive. A small facility can cost you 2 crores, 2, 3 crores, 4 crores. So the both aeroponics and apical rooted cutting both start with tissue culture material. So the starting point is both same. As you see in the picture, Same thing also, we take the mother plant from here for aeroponics. The same mother plant goes into apical rooted cutting. The difference is this is the one difference. The facility where you develop the aeroponic means you basically plant your things in a box type of things. You spray a solution. You can see on the right side the small mini tubers are produced. Then you raise those things and harvest those mini tubers at regular interval. So you spray the nutrients. So it's a controlled environment, very expensive. And once you have the facility, you can produce very good quality mini tubers. They call it generation 0 mini tubers there. The problem is the cost of establishing the facility is so expensive. So it has created a barriers to entry for the entrepreneurs to go in. If you are investing 5 crores rupees and you need 4, 5, 6 year gestation period before the return comes in. And the mini tubers you produced, you see here, the cost of producing, right now they sell 1 mini tubers for 8 rupees, 7, 8 rupees. Because it is produced in such expensive facilities, then the mini tubers are expensive, then they have to multiply several rounds before it goes to the farmers. So the barriers to entry is very high. People don't want to invest 5 crore, 10 crore, 10 crores and wait for 5 years for the returns to come in. So it has been monopolized by few companies, and the price of any seed coming out of the technology is very high. So we are trying to change that one, having this low cost technology with similar quality, so that the farmers have access to the good quality seed instead of depending on private sector for the seed.
So basically, you're saying it's much better that we should depend upon the apical root cutting than the aeroponics, because
correct. As I said, the seed replacement in the country is very low. It's 10% maximum. So 90% of the farmers just buying discarded seed. When you go to the market, the small potato,
Yes.
which is not suitable for human consumption, farmers buy those and use those as a seed. If the quality of seed is good, your production is very low. That's very clear. So there's a huge scope for apical rooted cutting have its own base rather than replacing aeroponics there. Aeroponics still can be used as one of the methods for developing seed for certain purpose, but there's a lot of scope for increasing the seed replacement rate and producing seed through apical rooted cutting. Then farmers can keep their own seed and replant it next year. So that way it is much better in terms of reducing the cost and giving access of quality seed to the farmers.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think the farmers can use these technologies, and those who are aware and those who are not aware also can contact you. Okay, sir. Another thing I know about you is you are running a movement called Small Farmer Large Field. What is it, and is it helping the small farmers to grow?
Yes. So we have, as you know, the potato, in India, we have around 120 million small farmers there. Small means less than 2 hectares. But we have around 100 million marginal farmers who are with less than 1 hectare land holding there. And those marginal farmers, they only grow potato in part of their field. In the Rabi season, in the dry season, they only grow potato, rice, or whatever there. So we have huge number of very small marginal farmers there in the country growing different crops, rice, potato, other crops there. Problem is that they are so small. They're so small. They cannot. It's not economically viable for them to mechanize their farm operations. To buy a planter, buy a mechanical transplanter, buy a digger. Because they're so small, they cannot utilize the machine. So, and the machine is too expensive for them to buy. And also they have no bargaining power, both in the input market, output market, because they're too small to influence anybody to listen to them. This small farmer large field is a similar concept where the government is trying to do FPOs, farmer producer organizations, farmer producer companies, where they're formally setting up a company, bringing the farmers together, so that the farmers have the economies of scale. The scale means the farmers come together, they share the machines, those type of things. So this particular small farmer large field is a very successful model in Vietnam. This technology also I brought from Vietnam and introduced in India for last 5-6 years. The whole idea behind is that you give farmers that scale effect. so that they come together, 52 farmers, 100 farmers come together to do group farming. Although their farm is different, they still produce their own, but they come together wherever it's needed, where there is a benefits there. I'll give examples there. Then also when we have 100 farmers producing quality produce, then the idea is that they produce, if you see the field here, this is a 30 acres patch. And these farmers, when they synchronize the production, planting, harvesting, they plant same time, harvest same time. So there is no varietal mix there in paddy here. So when that happens, there's a large volume of production there that attracts the buyer, traders to the village. So here the idea is that instead of taking farmers to the market, you bring market to the farmers. So if you have 1 acre of production, you have to go to the market and sell it somewhere. But you have 100 acres of quality produce there, the market will come to you. That's the idea, and buy it from you at a higher price. So the small farmer large field is nothing but a very participatory bottoms-up approach where you bring 50 to 100 farmers together. They do several activities together. You can see here, they are doing the nursery. This is in paddy. I started this in paddy rice. They do the nursery bed together. They do the transplanting together. They do the harvesting together, renting the machine, so that the cost of production goes down. They share the labor, they help each other. So there is a huge amount of good relationship building among the farmers there when they do that. And the cost goes down. They save a lot of time when compared to when they're doing it separately there. So that way, what we have seen is that they double their profit in paddy. Then for last 3 years, we have been trying to do that in potato. Potato is even more important because the seed is not available. If you have to buy seed from Punjab, from big companies, you have to put an order for 25 tons. 25 tons of seed is 1 truckload of seed. That is, you have to have a 25 acres to have that 25 ton seed order. So the farmers cannot purchase seed. They have to buy seed from the local market. So here, if 100 farmers together come together, 100 acres, they can order together 4 truckload of seed. So that way also, they have the bargaining power. The seed price also goes down. They get quality seed. So what we have done right now in last 3 years, we have been doing in Odisha, Assam. Nearly 30,000 farmers have been doing through these methods. They have bought seed together. They are mechanized. You can see the planters, the picture below planters. Instead of digging and putting the seed inside the soil, the planter does it. And the labor cost goes down significantly. Similarly, digging. Instead of digging the tubers from the thing, you have the machine who can do the digging for you. So our goal is to bring the farmers together, facilitate the farm operation, but the farmers decide what to do, how to do. We just facilitate initially for 2 years, then we back out. We let them run on their own operation there. Sometimes they're too much politics and it break apart. Sometimes they're very successful. So we have been trying that with thousands of farmers all across the state in Odisha and Assam. And you will not believe our 30,000 farmers, they have doubled their yield overnight. Their yield was 10 to 12 tons before. Now the yield is 25 to 30 tons per hectare. Just because the quality seed they're getting and also the mechanization, other things, reducing the cost of production. Many farmers have tripled the profit. So the cost of production goes down. Even if they sell at low price, still they make money right after the harvest. So it's been very, very successful, but there are also constraints there. The farmers have to be together. Together is the power type of thing. So it's bringing together, making them behave like a large farm. So that's the idea, and been very successful. We have been expanding that large way in many states there.
Definitely.
So this can be useful for many commodities, not only rice, potato, many commodities, because if you produce a large quantity of quality produce, you will attract buyers, but that's the whole idea, is that bring the market to the farmers, not vice versa.
Okay, that's a really good thought. And I think it's kind of like whole village can start producing one crop and sell and attract the buyers to their village. And that village can be, if a particular village is producing potato, the potato buyers should come to the villagers, not villagers don't have to actually go to the market and they can sell on their price. That's nice, sir. Actually, I can see, sir, you have a lot of schemes and research, in fact, like apical aeroponics, and even this your movement of the small farmers, large field. Everything is so much beneficiary for the farmers and but the problem is sometimes farmers does not know about your movements. So how are you looking forward to reach to the farmers? Or else, if some farmer know about these movements and they want to connect with you and get the benefited from these movements, how they can connect to you?
So we are constrained by where we can do it, because we are dependent on funding from international donor, state funding, national funding. So we cannot just go wherever farmers wants us to go, because we are non-profit organizations. We provide everything free of cost, but we have to also survive. We have to operate in the country. We have our own funding, but we also need some funding. But normally what we do is we go through the state government most of the time, and state government department becomes a partner. They help us implement it on the ground there. So if anywhere the farmers want, they should somehow approach the department, their state department or the district officer, and tell them that they want to do this. Then the state can approach us to enter the state. Now we are in many states. We are present: Karnataka, Haryana, Assam, Odisha, Bihar, Meghalaya, Nagaland. So, but we are working along with the state government. We just don't go on our own, because we need support from the state government. So that's one way they can bring us to their state.
Okay. And what if basically one village has a good unity and they want to know the technical knowledge about this small farmer or large field or some other technical help, then how they can reach to you?
Well, if someone calls us and tells that they want to do it, we can help virtually. From a long distance, we can help them to facilitate this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to do it at large scale, we have to be there. We have to be present physically in the location for a couple of years. So we do hand holding for a couple of years to the farmers, so that they link to the right seed producer, they link to the right traders, they use the right fertilizer, they use the right cost of production practices. So it needs some couple of years of hand holding before the farmers become independent and do on their own.
Okay. Okay, I got
But
you.
the apical root cutting, the particular seed production technology, we do a lot of webinar. That anybody can take up any parts of India. We have on YouTube. There are videos there where they can, very simple technique, they can follow it, and they can learn, kind of do on their own. Apical.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think they can make use of the webinars and directly they can start with. And if they have some questions, they can ask and reach to you. Okay.
But as I said, we are present in many states. Physical team also present.
Okay.
If Odisha, Assam, Bihar, Haryana, Karnataka, some of the northeastern states, if they are there and they want us to help them, we'll be happy to help them, because we are already present in those states. So we should be able to help them.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think you are doing a really great job. Apart from that, sir, I would like to ask you one more question. I saw a news during the COVID when it was at its peak in May 2020. CIP scientists had a conversation about using the potato and other tubers to strengthen the food security globally. So, what was the initiative in this direction?
Yes, if you remember when COVID started in 2019 March, at that time the potato harvest was the farmers were just completed the potato harvest all over the India. Because of the COVID lockdown, the transportation problem, there was a lot of rotting. The potatoes could not reach cold storage. Remember, we only produce one time a year. All the harvest is done in April, then it goes to the cold storage, then it comes out of the cold storage throughout the year and sold to the consumers. So if you remember, in October, November, potato price went up to 60, 70 rupees per kg. That's because of the transportation problem we had at the initial stages of COVID there. So we wanted to avoid that next, 2020. So we are working with many state governments, making sure seed is the biggest constraint for the farmers. So we are trying to make sure we work with the government, make sure the farmers have the quality seed, particularly the states we are physically present. So we are ensuring that farmers have the quality seed. Also, we change our mode of operation in terms of doing the training physically. We started doing virtual training with the farmers, in terms of what need to be done, seed reaches, what seed treatment, how to plant it, how to make sure fertilize it, those type of things we started doing virtually with the state government there. So there are a lot of efforts making sure that the farmers have everything there to produce enough potatoes there, because it's a very important staple. And 2020 April we had a bumper crop. You see the prices right now is low. 2021 also we had a bumper crop there. 2021 I'm talking. We had a bumper crop because all the planning took place and making sure that the farmers have the seed, farmers have everything they need to produce the potato there.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. So we worked with many government officials to ensure that the farmers have the seed. We also work on sweet potato in Odisha and a couple of states. So we also ensure that farmers have the planting materials to plant it. So because we thought the seed and planting material is the key. If they don't have that and the window is gone, then they cannot grow it anymore for the whole year. There is only one time you can grow potato in the year. So that's what we did. We work with the government to ensure farmers have all the inputs there with them.
Another question I would ask you, sir, that we know that every time youngsters complain about the job, they do not have job. And you being into the agricultural field and you're also working with the scientists and farmers as well. So I would like to ask you, would you encourage the young generation to choose agriculture as a successful career option? If yes, how they can do that?
Remember, I always write that agriculture, if you go to a farmers in any part of the country, in India, or even outside India, and you ask your farmers, would you like to send your son or daughter to agriculture? They will say flat no. They will say, no, we will not send our kids to agriculture because agriculture is not profitable. Because if a farmer has 1 hectare of land, and he grows paddy, at the end of 4 or 5 months, he makes hardly 20,000 rupees, which is less than 4,000 or 5,000 rupees per month. And that a security guard can make in a city, sitting there full time, he can make that one. So it's not very attractive options for many farmers to bring their kids into agriculture there. And we also perceive agriculture as a very, not very socially accepted profession there. Many of our farmers say if we send our kid to become a farmer, they will not get a bride. If a son, if is a farmer, then it is very difficult to find a bride to marry the person because he's a farmer. That's true. So because farmers looking at that he cannot find a bride, he cannot make enough money, so he better goes to the nearby town and do something. That will be as a waiter or whatever, waitress or security guard, whatever. Then it's more attractive for the society. They say, So that I think that is slowly changing now. Many educated youth coming back to agriculture. Agriculture is not profitable because the way we are doing agriculture. So agriculture can be very profitable if they do it in the right way. We use the technology, we use the digital tool, we use whatever around us rather than doing the traditional way of doing it. And you do high value crops. We don't do rice and wheat. You're not going to make a lot of money doing rice and wheat. You do vegetables, you do horticultural crops, you do a lot of other flower, floriculture, you do livestock stuff, which is a very high value, as I said, 1 potato crop in 1 acre in 3 months can give you 2 lakhs, 1 to 2 lakhs rupees profit.
Yeah.
So there are many other crops also you can make. So you have to intensify your crop of your intensification has to happen. You have to do 2 to 3 crops in a very sustainable way, using the technology, using all the tools available to you. So it's a very attractive options for the youth right now. And I think they probably saw you need food all the time. You may survive without everything, but not without food. We saw in COVID, everything got shut down except agriculture. Except agriculture. If you remember all the youth who came back to Delhi, Bombay, all the youths, they came back because they lost the job. they basically entered agriculture as a profession there. So agriculture has to be there. There's a every day, there is no downtime in agriculture. We always need food, and food will always be in demand. The population is growing, the income is growing, people have money, people are demanding more different variety of food. So there's a lot of different options for the youth to go into agriculture and make a very good living. If you don't have the land, there is plenty of land available for rental now, land leasing. You can lease the land, you can do very high value crop and make decent amount of money there. So it's a very attractive options for the youth right now, and it will continue to be more attractive as we go into future. Because agriculture has a lot, in particular in India, a lot of scope for modernization of agriculture sector. Once the modernization happen, then nobody will look at agriculture is not an attractive option anymore. So I think this is changing, and it will continue to change. We are using artificial intelligence, we are using drone, we are using all kind of digital to modernize it. So I think in the years to come, it will be a good profession. And there will be consolidation of the land holding. 1 hectare of land is not going to be enough. You have to have 5-10 hectares of land. And slowly people, as the country progresses, they would move out of agriculture. And the people who remains, they will expand. That is normal natural things. And if you don't have land, you start with a small, then start leasing land. There are plenty of land available for leasing.
Yeah.
So and you can expand and you can make a decent amount of living.
So basically, it's like the youth who are literate and know about the technologies, they have to make use of the technology into the conventional farming so that they can make a good money.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Also produce high value crops. Don't produce rice, wheat, maize. There are a lot of, I see in Odisha, there many youths have started passion fruit. There's orchid. I see orchid everywhere. So the marketing is a problem, but slowly that is also being sorted out slowly. And this apical rooted cutting is a very good, could be very good entrepreneurs for the men and women, particularly young male and women can take up this apical rooted cutting, which is very profitable.
Thank you, sir, for actually giving us such a nice message. Like because right now the problem is people think that there is no job, but people don't want to take up the available opportunities and use their technological mind and technology into the available options. Instead of searching, they have to start creating the jobs, I guess. So, sir, I won't take much time. But last question I want to ask, like, what message you want to give to the world?
Well, I think what I will tell, particularly the young mass out there, and also the people who are in agriculture there. I think agriculture, as I said, is just opening up slowly in the region, in both Asia and Africa particularly. And a lot of scope for modernization of agricultures, and and it is not going to be a profession that will be looked down upon in the future. That I can guarantee you that. I don't think the perception that you are the agriculturist farmer, you will not get a bride. I think that is not going to happen as we progress there. The food is always will be in demand. As population grow, income grows, we need more food, we need more varieties, we need all kind of healthier food, all these things there. So you have to be more innovative, more think out of the box, and go try to be someone where the future lies, rather than what it looks like right now. So you have to be more proactively, you have to be creative in the whole business there, and you will get a very good satisfaction if you're a successful agriculturist.
Yes,
the satisfaction is very high.
Yeah.
It is not only that you can do well, you can also help a lot of other people. There is youth there, and he does well in the village or the block. There a lot of people will follow him. Okay, and he can help a lot of other people around him. Not only he can be also good, he will be well off, but also he can help hundreds of other farmers who are not exposed to this thing, who are not willing to take risks, who have a lot of other constraints. He can help other farmers there. That's the beauty of it. You can help a lot of other people apart from helping yourself in this profession.
Thank you, sir. I think the agriculture is the sector where there won't be any recession. if we see.
There will be no recession, correct.
There won't be any recession, and obviously a young generation can look up to it because they have a power of technology with them. Our like the ancestors, they did not know about the technology, so they did the conventional way of agriculture. But now our youngsters have power of technology which they can use to empower the agriculture and empower themselves as well.
Correct.
So
Correct.
thank you so much for the beautiful message. Thank you, sir, for being a part of this show. It was pleasure meeting you, and thank you for wholeheartedly accepting the invitation and sharing your journey on this show. It's honor that you gave us a chance to convey about your research for enhancing the production, and you are also becoming a helping hand towards the farmer, and you are also sharing, empowering them to the extent where they can have a very high income, where the farmers were actually used to say like, I don't have even a money to feed myself. So this is a very good initiative, sir, and I think this is going to change the life of a lot of people. In fact, directly or indirectly, it's going to change and make the difference in the lives of millions of people. Thank you so much for all your contributions.
No, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to talk to you, and good luck on all your future podcasts you do there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.